Yeah. Esto es breve, ya tus pasos se acercan. Tú me debes una noche con maldad. Yo soy preso de esos besos y tu piel. Yo sé que eso se repite otra vez. Baby, te quiero para mí, tomando y viendo Netflix. Ya no se trata de sentir, se trata solo de fluir. Baby, te quiero para mí, tomando y viendo Netflix. Ya no se trata de sentir, se trata solo de fluir. Más por DM me escribiste antes de llegar al hotel. Me conoces, no soy de eso. Yo te hago completico el proceso y empiezo a tocarte. Yo soy tu vicio, espero que no te asombre. También puedo besarte, ser loco y romántico a la vez. Baby, te quiero para mí, tomando y viendo Netflix. Ya no se trata de sentir, se trata solo de fluir. Baby, te quiero para mí, tomando y viendo Netflix. Ya no se trata de sentir, se trata solo de fluir. Mi Pikachu, pues yo te elijo, siempre apunto a lo fijo. Por eso estoy contigo y porque la pasamos genial. Es un castigo, es solo que conmigo encontraste tu abrigo y por ahí encontraste algo más. Tú lo sabes. No nos desviemos del caso, solo tú y yo, mujer. Tú eres perfecta, tú eres mi caro y yo puedo ser tu nena. Sé que tú quieres más de eso. Flaca, tírame ese hueso que él no te dio, lo que te di. Y no solo hablo del sexo, lo que yo te di. Baby, te quiero para mí, tomando y viendo Netflix. Ya no se trata de sentir, se trata solo de fluir. Baby, te quiero para mí, tomando y viendo Netflix. Ya no se trata de sentir, se trata solo de fluir.
Aquel día el instinto nos decía que esa noche juntico no quería, que las ganas bebé nos ganaría, pero no fue así. Vamos lento, ya que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos a jugar. Ella sabe que quiero a mi mamacita. Ella también quiere que seamos felices. Ella, la que se apresura a la vueltica. Ella es sin timidez. Como la ves, no le importa dónde y cuándo. Nada no es, yo no soy el que la mando. Nunca lo seré, su carácter no es de niña, que la puede controlar cualquiera. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos de
like to do, but you just keep on talking. I see your dog needs walking. Your folk drive you insane. I know, yeah, that's true. Of course, you ain't the one to blame. Keep on talking to me. You keep on telling me your dreams. You keep on talking to me. But I just wanna see you move. Yeah, I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. Yeah, I just wanna see you move. Wanna see you move. Sure, I like to listen. It's not like I don't wanna know. It's just that you've been talking to me 3 nights in a row. I think it's time to let go. Forget the past, just lose control. 'Cause life's too short for yapping. Come on and dance, come give me soul. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking to me. You keep on talking. You keep on talking to me. You keep on telling me your dreams. To me. You keep on talking, but I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you move. I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you.
I saw you from the beginning. You were clearly out of my league. You didn't look at where I was standing. I thought that we would never meet. But here we are now, 2 restless souls, lost in a room full of strangers. Oh, I wanna wash that sad look from your face, and maybe you can keep me away from dangers. Let's sneak out together, baby. Oh, and spend some time, just you and me. I wanna set you free when no one else is there to see. Everybody knows you're a lady, yeah. But your eyes are telling me that there is more to see. Let's make our own destiny. Let's sneak out together, baby. Yeah. Please, baby. This evening will soon be over, and we'll be back in the roles we played. Always caught in the charades of life, longing for a sweeter day. But this can be our moment. Let's seize it here and now. Let's leave this room full of strangers. Oh, you wash this sad look from my face, and I'll keep you away from dangers. Let's sneak out together, baby. Oh, and spend some time, just you and me. I wanna set you free when no one else is there to see. Everybody knows you're a lady, yeah. But your eyes keep telling me that there is more to see.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Cause I'll find a better one. Ooh, susceptible now. Before the moment flies. It's not a problem. No. Cause I know what I'm getting in.
How we doing tonight, folks?
Yeah. Nothing can stop me. No. Cause I'm addicted to
You know how we do it.
you and I realize
Age, city, gender in the chat room.
I follow. No need to say. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all.
Zippa,
So
ba, ba, ba.
tell you good night. Cause I'll find a better one. Yeah. Susceptible now. Before the moment flies. Before it flies. So tell you good night. Cause I'll find a better one. Susceptible now. Before the moment flies.
All right, what's going on? Boom, 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 boom. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening and welcome to Sunday edition. I typically wouldn't do a show on Sunday, but I wanted to cover this topic. It was a requested topic, and I think it does deserve some airtime. So before we get into it, let's get the lights right. There we go. Ambient lighting. Drop it down. We got all right. All right. Everything is good. Sorry about the audio issues we have over the last couple of days. Think they finally got those all sorted out from the provider. And we're ready to get into it. Let's even do it better. Do a little slight overhead lighting. So, today, what candle do we want? Normally I'm burning like Santal 26 or Kate 26. My standard candle is Laurier 62. But today, I think we're going to go with just straight Palo Santo. Holy wood. It has some, obviously, woody notes and a hint of amber. It's meant to energize and clean your environment. So that's what we're going to do, because today we're going to talk about she doesn't want to act like that. She doesn't want to be like that. And, I understand where a lot of, in particular, a lot of black women feel like they can't win. And, I want to get into this subject. A lot of folks feel like they can't win. People are misunderstanding. It's just not fair. And we got to cover it. So, oh yeah. Got all the ties sitting out here. So for the people who love to sit back and talk about, you just have one suit, and then I had to pull out the 4 pinstripe suits. I'm changing up this summer. Guys, don't always leave the same tie on. You can have solids, but when you change ties, you should change the color, like the pattern, and also change the texture. Give you different things to wear. Normally you guys see me with like if I'm wearing a polka dot, it's either a black and white polka dot, a gray and white polka dot, or just a gray self dot. Let's do this. I just wanted to do this. I just wanted to do this because I couldn't decide what tie I wanted to wear. My standard black, but then you see that black that has that little etching, that light pattern there. Can you see that? Cool when you kind of get up on it. And then you have every guy needs a good knit-like tie. I think knit ties are too informal, but that's a good knit-like tie. And then that's a black self-dot. So yeah, got my tie action happening. I'm happy with my tie selection. Good stuff. You should have a good selection of guys. Put some quality. Put some quality in your neckwear. Don't buy cheap ties. Cheap ties are like cheap shoes. You pay the price. When people can look, if your tie comes with, if you get a shirt with a tie and a suspender and a pocket square, get out, leave my channel. That's for like 6-year-olds. All right. So let me ask this question before we get into it. Is the sound good? Can you guys hear me well? When I mention, certain, women over 35, what I tend to hear a lot of women talk about is how unfair the stereotyping, the way they're typecast, the way people approach them. It's almost like, they feel like they can't win. So I want to go and kind of talk about this from a couple of standpoints. Are you being stereotyped is the question. So let's take the character on the Insecure, on the TV show, the HBO show Insecure. How many people are familiar with the character by the name of Molly? Oh yeah, background music. Molly is a college-educated, go-getter, type A personality who wants to make it up the corporate ranks. That's what her goal is. She wants it all. And see, that's what I need you guys to understand something. It's never good at this whole notion of the myth of, I want to mix a couple of concepts. One, there's this myth of a power couple. So let me put this note down on the whiteboard. There's this myth of the power couple, and black women have bought into this wholly myth of the power couple. That means she's an attorney, you're a medical doctor, and you have perfect children and all this other stuff. You both went to maybe HBCUs or PWIs. You pledged fraternities and sororities, and you just got this perfect idyllic life. I'm going to say that Generation X, my generation, and elder millennials bought this hook, line, and sinker. To the point to where you listen to a lot of these women who are in their late 30s and early 40s who are unmarried. Inevitably, they've inevitably been engaged once, maybe even twice. They've passed over some good, suitable man somewhere. These are the kind of women Rebecca Lynn Pope said drove her out of the matchmaking business because they had this impossible list of standards that it was no way to achieve. Basically trying to take all the different parts of all the guys that they've dated. You want this guy's swag, this guy's drive, this guy's education, this guy's, hustle, this guy's body, this guy's Johnson. And you're trying to make this Frankenstein monster, and that's the man you want next to you as you go and make this power couple. And the women that often feel the most assaulted, are college educated, professional black women. In the office place, it's not uncommon for the men, the executives who hire her on to put her on the tough assignments. I mean, and I want you to understand, I'm not insulting you, but oftentimes they almost treat women like this as their own personal, I don't want to use that word. Because that'll be mischaracterized. They treat these women almost like they're their own company enforcer, right? Give that the Johnson file to Molly. She's a ball breaker. She's a tough, take no prisoners attitude. Oftentimes, black women in corporate America feel like they get the tough assignments because they have the stereotype of being damn near superhuman. And if they don't take the assignments, they fear that they will look weak. Mercenaries. Okay? They fear that they will look weak. It is not uncommon for these women when they're in the workplace to have men of other groups purposely ask her questions or frame scenarios to pit her against her black male counterpart, almost in a gladiatorial kind of combat. And they do it in such a way to where if she doesn't step up to the challenge, she's weak. And if she does, she's doing so at the expense of the black male image. I've seen this. When I work with my professional female clients, when I used to work with them heavily, this was often the black girl dilemma. That they had to be this way. And they don't want to act like this. Or any 837 people watching, we need to get the likes up to over 500. Work with my professional female clients when I used to work with them heavily. Black women. Is it, if you've experienced this as a woman, or someone who's experienced this, raise your hand or put a 1 in the chat room. If you've experienced this as a woman, or someone's experienced this as a woman, do this. Raise a 1 in the chat room. We're not at intermission yet. I still want you guys to just keep it going. Please don't type in all caps. You will get timed out. So, let's start from the beginning. Guys, I need you to understand, a lot of black women don't want to be the way they don't want to act the way they do. I'm going to switch it up tonight, man, because I need you to just ride with me. Don't make any preconceived notions. Don't get in the chat room and start playing yourself. Don't start saying something that you're going to regret. Let me get through the program. But just like a lot of black men, 80% of black women are raised in fatherless homes. They're raised by mothers who feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. I'm not going to say whether or not it's true, but they feel that way. They've raised their daughters to never have to be like them. So they've raised their daughters to be tough, to show no emotion, to not cry. Oftentimes, the daughters don't even get a chance to be a daughter because they're taking on responsibility of a babysitter, a second mother. You have a mother with 3 children and unmarried. The older daughter is the built-in cook, babysitter, laundry, homework, all these things. Guys, I've seen this many times. And then the young lady goes to school, Not allowed to, and the one thing mama tells her to do more than anything else, don't bring home no babies. She has to grow up too soon. When she starts growing into her own body and sexuality, mama starts getting offended like she's competition. Mama don't want to bring her boyfriend around because she's afraid that her daughter is going to be, her boyfriend is going to be looking at her daughter. So this is why a lot of women say they feel unprotected, not solely just by men. They don't feel protected by their own mother. Because imagine a 15-year-old girl. That's a 15-year-old girl. She should be able to be a junior, a freshman in high school and enjoy her high school years. But she has to worry about, one, if she is going to become sexually active, she better not bring a baby home. Two, she got to do her homework, got to come home and help with her brother and sister's homework. She got to cook, clean, do laundry, everything else, stay out of her mama's way. And then when her mama have her boyfriend over, she has to be gone to keep the kids gone and has to make it. These girls feel like no one cares. Now I need you to ask yourself, would you want to stay in that environment? No. And then they go through school, make good grades because they know their only way out of this is college and a degree. There's no jobs. So they go to college and then they go to university and they think they're going to find a lot of, where'd you have that woman who called from Bernard? Thought you were going to find a lot of sister girlfriends, and what you find is a lot more of the same. Then you go into college, university right now, and the numbers for male enrollment is down. We all know what's going through college right now. A lot of left-leaning liberal ideas, and they were and college is reinforcing the you can do it all. You can go to college, get your degree, then go get your husband. They're seeing their white counterparts when they are talking with them as a roommate or on the campus. They're hearing a completely different upbringing. Becky didn't have all those pressures on her. She could journal and go watch Twilight and do girly stuff. Sleepovers? What? Girl Scouts? What? This Kim was never allowed to be a girl. She went from a baby to a little woman. The only time Kim had any time to be for herself is when her mama didn't have a boyfriend or before she had another kid. Soon as mama got a boyfriend or a kid, Kim was pushed over to the side. So Kim goes to college. Kim's around Becky, Mylene, Marisol, and all this other. And Kim recognizes there's something very different about her than other women. She recognizes there's something very different about her femininity in every other race of women. You think she feels good about that? When she starts talking, when they're talking about girly things and she can't relate? When they're talking about, being soft and feminine and dating and courting, and she's like, that never happened. That didn't happen. You think she's going to want to raise her hand and tell her stories, or did she feel some kind of way? She feels, what do you think? So what is that going to, either she's going to be isolated over there, or she's going to try to gravitating towards what? Other black women who came from almost a similar 80% out of 80% fatherless homes, and then on a university. So this is the first time she actually has some power over her situation. She's seeing lives of other people. It's like window shopping. It's like window shopping. Okay? All right, let's get the likes up, man. All right, I know there are a lot of women in here. We're going to have to get these likes up over 700 because, ladies, I'm speaking for you. I'm trying to speak to what a lot of you ladies have written me, talking about we don't want to be like this. And I think one of the big problems is a lot of men don't understand how you got there. A lot of men just think you're a B or you're just mean. Or you're just complaining. If I'm on track, ladies, do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat room or a high five or something. Let me know we're on the right path. But in the meantime, we need to get these likes up. We only got 471 likes, over 1,000 people watching. And here's the thing. What? Hold on. Hold on, Kenbo. Let me set you. Let me help you. Let me set you straight, dude. We understand their story. They now sympathy for ours. This ain't about you today. See, what I don't. Make whatever decision you want. I'm gonna tell you right now. Some of this stuff can come off very petty, very tit for tat. And if you want to live your life we understand their story. Well, if you do, well, I'll tell you what. Since you understand it, why don't you get up here and tell it? Since y'all understand it so what, get up here and tell it. Because if you really understood it, you wouldn't have made that comment. What's a lot of you guys just don't want to hear the shit. And I would almost guarantee you're younger than me. I don't know how you could know it if you're 22. I've heard far too many young men. Anyway. So anyway, college, same scenario. While we're telling them go to college and find your young guy, that's information that's 2018 or it's really 2018 forward information, even 2016. They didn't find out about it till afterwards. So they're out of college. They didn't find their hit squad. They're in the work world. They got their home life with their mother, no father, and now they're out in the work world. And they're trying to basically fit in, make it work. They're looking at all these other women that they work with in these corporate environments that when the summer comes around, all their coworkers are going to weddings in their early 20s. They're not going to any weddings. None of these black girls are going to weddings. They're not bridesmaids. They're nothing. You can see the most average looking white girl been a bridesmaid 3, 4, 5 times. Ask the average 35 or under black woman how many times she's been a bridesmaid. They see the world and they're like, I want what everybody else has, but I don't know how to get it. I know there's something off with me right now, and I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be this way, and being this way makes me feel some kind of way, and then I act out. I don't want to be this way, and I don't want to act this way. So when you have someone come along and say, you know what, smile at all black men for a week, they're like, they can't comprehend it. Just submit. I've had to fight all my life, more or less. And now you just ask me to submit to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes around that I don't know. They have no track record of having any black male figures in their life personally. They may have seen them, but in their personal life, where do they have black male figures that they could actually see as role models? Now, that may not be everybody, but it's not an insignificant amount of black women. Generation X and under. So, why is all this important? What would you guys tell them to do? What would you guys tell them to do? Because like the guy that came in and said, yeah, we've heard their story, but now it's our time. Okay, well, he who would have power and who would have power, you must lead. What would you tell him to do? What would you tell him to do And all things being equal, would you do that? Would you do what you're asking them to do? Do the trust fall? You're talking to a group of people in this particular right here who's never been able to be a girl. Didn't have a dad. Mama was more like a big sister. She had to take on roles that she wasn't cut out for. And now you're asking her to just listen to a bunch of men online, a bunch of men in men's spaces, and then just do a trust fall and just give it all up and hope. That's how a lot of these women feel like what they've been asked to do. Now here's my question for the men. I don't care what you think. I want you to answer this question. For the woman, the kind of woman I just described, if there was an alternative, do you think that was going to get her the outcome that the question I have for you is, do you think she really wants to be that way? Do you think that if there's an alternative that she thought was going to work, she'd still choose to be the way she is? That's what I want from the men, because I've asked a question about good faith, and I'm starting to realize that, you know, there's a lot of good faith is missing on both sides. So I'm asking the guys, if there was a solution, what is it? What is an individual person's solution? And do you think that when given a solution, the average woman in this position, the average black woman in this position, would choose to still be the way she is or go the other route? Men, do you think that they would choose to stay the way they are or go another route? Yes, they'd stay the way they are. No, they'd go another route. Yes, they'd stay the way they are. No, they'd go another route. Yes, they'd stay the way they are. No, they'd go another route. Ladies, please don't respond. High value men simply have no patience for the nonsense. Speak for yourself. So I'm seeing a lot of guys write yes. So I'm seeing a lot of guys write yes. Well, what do you think that, and for all the guys who say, you know what, if they had an alternative to be something different, they'd stay the way they are. What do you think that's saying to them? I'm kind of fascinated now. I got to admit, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at 80, 90% of you guys just saying yes, they'd stay the way they are. Well then, for every guy that's saying they'd stay the way they are, if you want to have a relationship or a marriage, I hope you are 100% on board with going non-ADOS, and you let black women know that up front. I don't care why you believe the way you are. I'm just curious to see how many guys basically have, you basically say you just write everybody off. See, I think that the level of mental, the level of trauma in Black America is deep on both sides. And it's easy for when somebody's in the hot seat to dogpile them in the hot seat. But then when the spotlights turn back over, I find it interesting, but cool. That's why SBM. Yeah, dude, you're like 19 years old. See, I'm gonna tell you, some of you guys in here who are like 21 and under, and you've had no relationships. I think we're going this MGTOW stuff. A lot of you guys. Anyway, good luck with that. Good luck with it. All right. Well, ladies, here's what I would say then, ladies. Here's what I would say to the women who come through that thing. They don't want to be this way. You need to do what you need to do for yourself. Because whether you want to be this way or not, it doesn't matter. You are the way you are. You are the way you are. You were raised the way you were raised. Your situations are the way they are. And it does not matter to what, there's less than 1,200 people in here. 1,200 people aren't the world. This is a very different, this is a small corner of YouTube. But far too many women don't do anything because you feel like if you do something, nothing's going to change. That's why I did this way that I did it. I laid it out the way I laid it out because I expected the majority of the guys to come in and say, don't matter. Even if there was a solution that was going to work, they'd still stay over here being dysfunctional. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Good luck with that. Now, let me touch it with a 5-foot pole. I said it yesterday. He who would have power would learn how to deal with 51% of the population. Women aren't going anywhere. Women aren't going anywhere. And for the ladies who are sitting back saying you don't want to be the way you are, you cannot, I would say this. You don't need to correct the things with a guarantee. See, far too many women want guarantees. You want to say, I had it hard. My mama didn't raise me to think this way. My daddy wasn't there. I had to grow up too soon. All that. I get it. I get all of that. But just like I've told the men, I get it, but the world does not owe you understanding. You're an adult now. You're responsible to yourself. And it does not matter what audience you find yourself in front of. You need to go get yourself together for you. Why is it so many women know they know they're where they are? You know how you were raised. You know the situation you're in. But you've not gone to do any of the work. You haven't gone to get the psychological help, the counseling, the work groups. You've not done the work. That's really what I want to hear from the women is I get where you're coming from, but you are where you are right now. And when I hear too many women call in and talk about black men have these preconceived notions and black men aren't doing it, the problem is always with the black men. And yes, there are going to be men that are going to have very harsh views. There are. They're not the entirety of the world. 80% of black men want to marry black women. Don't look to find that in these spaces. Most people want to marry. Most men and women want to marry. And most people want to marry somebody that comes from their own race and culture. Black America is no different. The problem is black men for whom this applies weren't raised with a father and they didn't see it growing up, so they don't know how to do it. Black women for whom this applies, they are in the same position. So you got two people who want something that they never saw. So you're going to have to figure out, because you are the straw and you are the mud. You got to make bricks with what you got. See, my personal opinion is if this whole myth of this power couple, a lot of you college educated women, you need to get over that shit. There is no power couple. That's the infinitesimally small percentage of people. Stop trying to be Jay-Z and Beyonce, Michelle and Barack, and be Rock and his wife. Stop trying to always get the guy who's 6 foot tall, 6-figure, white collar, vice president of mergers and acquisitions. You best to go deal with that guy who's a network engineer or a coder or a plumber or an electrician. Your goals are so outrageous. And I get it. You believe I might as well set them outrageous, because what are the likelihood of me getting anything anyway? Well, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, let me open up this call line. They cut me no. Okay, Matthew Smalls, call in. I'll open it up to men and women, but you want to keep it respectful. You're gonna keep it respectful. A lot of women don't want to. Again, I asked the question: what if you're high value black men, the leaders, all this other kind of stuff? What do you tell them? What do you tell them to do? Because if they're asking questions, looking for answers, do you have any answers for them, or do you even have any hope for them? And sadly, from what I saw in the chat room, a lot of you guys have no hope for them. And that's cool. But I hope you carry that same energy when you interact with them. Stop fucking with them. Stop smashing and pumping and dumping. I hope when you meet one, you are upfront with her, like you want her to be upfront with you. I hope you're upfront with her. Say, hey, look, sis, you look good. I just want to exchange a few orgasms with you, but I don't think any of y'all really got any real future. It's kind of like, let me tell you what it's like. When I hear men say that, black men say that, let me tell you what I think about it. I feel like you're the guy who does not tip. I need you guys to raise your hands if you know this guy. You know the guy who makes plenty of money. He's just a cheapskate. And he does not tip. He knows how waiters make their money, how the food system works, all this other kind of stuff, but he will not tip. But yet he insists on going to places where tipping is customary. But he won't tip. He'll run the servers ragged, knowing full well he ain't gonna tip. You ask him, why don't you tip? He said, well, the waiter should have got a better job. She should have went to college. I went to college. He could have went to college and made something of himself. He didn't have to flip shrimp. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to do that. I mean, tips aren't mandatory. I mean, yeah, I'll leave him something if it's exceptional service, but for just, you know this guy. He's got 50. And here's the thing. I don't deal with guys like this. There's none of these guys in my circle. I cannot stand men like this. And when if I find one, no, I don't even want to get to know you. Don't talk to me now. Anyway, but you'll sit there and you'll know fully well that he's not going to tip. And I've actually done this with guys. All right, cool. I'm not going to argue with you, but here's what I want you to do. Why don't you carry that same energy, and when you sit your ass down, you tell every server that's going to take care of you, I just need you to know up front, no matter what you do, I just simply don't tip off principle. Since you got such a principled stand, be a man up, say it up front. And you know what I get back? No, I'm not going to do that. Because default, of course you say I'm that guy. Yeah, you're a cheap fucker. Cheap, low class dude. Cheap, low class. Yep. Cheap, low class. That's you. You want more, out of the engagement. Cool. Let's go over there. You know why they don't do it? You know why they don't do it, Honey Lemon? They don't do it because, no, I'm not going to tell them that up front. Why? Because I might get bad service. It's not they're going to spit my food or this or that. But if I tell them up front that I'm not going to play fair. I'm not going to do what's customary. I think you're stupid for waiting there. Now, see, what I want to do is I want to hide it. I'm like, well, why do you go to restaurants? And I've gone through this with guys. Why do you go to restaurants where they require tipping? I just like the food. Well, why don't you just do that up front? So for the guys who really just feel like, hey, I don't care, whatever, I don't think if they would go over here versus go over here, they don't matter. There's something defective in all of them. And even when given an opportunity, they're gonna go that way. Cool. Hope you do that up front. And it is your right and your prerogative to do that. See, what I'm not saying is what you should do. I'm not saying you should think like me or be like me. I'm just saying if that's what you are, be that. I'm always amazed the guys that look upside a woman's head because she wants the impossible. And then we're given an alternative, and to find out that maybe you're closer to this yourself. So, here we go. See, I'm not a predeterminism kind of guy. Never have been. Human beings can change if they want to. And if people can't change that, all right, click to join the show. Click to join the show. To the guys that said yes, I believe they'd stay the same. Would you say your opinion of women is high? Average, high or low? I don't want to play the average game. What's going on, Miss Sylvester? And for the guys that said their opinion is high, are you happy? What's going on, Chica? Oh, let me do this real quick. It might just a second. Yeah, no, that's right. All right, I cannot hear you.
Hello?
There you go.
Hi.
What's going on?
I thought you were talking to someone else.
No, I was talking to you. Go ahead.
Okay.
So what did I get wrong about I don't want to be this way?
Godfather, you're always trying to find out where I disagree. Why can't I express where I agree?
Well, I mean, because here's the thing. Agreeing is so easy. Agreeing is easy. I want to hear where the disagreements are because that's where the conversation moves forward.
I like that. However,
go ahead.
That's not exactly.
Go ahead. What you got?
Where I am.
What you got?
I agree with your sentiment about moving forward, and I believe what I think a lot of us don't understand is that if you want to change, there are not going to be a lot of people who want to help you change in your circle, in your current circle.
That's true.
So we can't expect people to try and pat us on our back. Um, and I do believe in order for, if people want to change, we do have to have a certain level of mercy for each other. And where we fall short, I'm not saying just let another person run over you because they've had a certain life. And I think we get that mixed up a lot. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
let someone just be who they are,
Mm-hmm.
or they have to completely change. And I think it's nowhere like that. It has to be somewhere in the middle. We have to be just conscious of what we're doing, how we're doing, and be willing to give people feedback. And it has to be a cyclical. Is it a cyclical? I'm sorry.
Reciprocal.
It is a reciprocal thing. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. See,
So, go ahead.
grace, mercy, forgiveness, empathy, humility. See,
Mm-hmm.
black folks, we really don't. We are not good on or good on forgiveness. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. He did a video today talking about T.I. and how he's still getting drugged for that. I go with my daughter to her annual. He's still getting drugged for that.
Right.
See, and that's what I need ladies to understand. See, when they looked in the chat room, saw all the brothers say, no, they wouldn't change even if given a chance, and how unfair you felt that. Look at what happened to T.I. He's still getting drugged for something he did 2 years ago and apologized for. Black man, father loves his daughter, and he made a mistake.
Right.
Look at what happened to C.J. King. Black man who just made a post on Instagram. Drug for filth. We don't forgive. One mistake, we destroy you.
Right. What I've realized, because I've made a lot of mistakes, like with people and just in communicating with people, is just that I've learned that. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. I've learned that we have to allow as much time as we made that mistake to undo that mistake, and we don't understand that most of the time.
Right.
We don't understand that how much it took to get in, it might even take double to get out.
Therapists often say, let's say you had in a situation for 10 years, it takes at least a third of the time to detox from that. So you're in a 10-year relationship, you're going to take at least 3 years plus to really have moved on. So go ahead and give me your final the other points, because I got some more people that want to get in.
No, it's okay. That was really what I was thinking. Yeah, it has to be a reciprocal thing. That's all.
You know what? Here's the I can already hear the talking point. Yeah, but who goes first?
I'll go first.
I'm just talking about in our culture. Period. It's like both men and women. It's like, yeah, but I'll go after you go. All right, sis.
Well, wait. I do have a point.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, and it's from the other night, but it ties into this.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who's to blame. You're talking about, do you blame women or black women or black men? It doesn't matter who's to blame. If nothing happens, then you got to realize the results of your blame. Is anything getting done?
Right.
If you're not getting results, then it doesn't matter. You're just sitting there with this. It's stroking your ego. That's all.
You about to give away my next show. You about to give away my next show. Okay. All right. Peace out. Right. See, shout out to Jay Sylvester. And see, that's the point, man. I look at, for those who would want to be able to make a mistake, you got to have some grace and some mercy. I'm looking at these people who are, you just basically off with everybody's head. Cool. That's the whole judge. Don't judge unless ye be judged. That's often misquoted in the Bible. The Bible says, careful how you judged, for you will be judged the same way. So if you're judging harshly, that's cool. Just be all right when you're judged the same way. Area code 310. Hello, how are you?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm well. I need you to mute the YouTube channel in the background. Turn off YouTube. Just please be on Zoom.
Okay. Yeah.
I say this every night, and I expect the guys to get this right. Go ahead and admit you. Let me go ahead and put the link back in the chat room because, you know, I want to hear from both sides, but understand, guys. I'm going to have a very. Go ahead. Let me go ahead and just do it this way. Hello. You still got noise in the background. You still got noise in the background. What's going on?
Yes, sir. I'm literally outside, so I
Well, what do you got for me? Go ahead. Go ahead. What do you got for me?
Yes, sir. No, I agree with you. Actually agree with you on how I think women do need to pursue counseling. You know, when we look on social media, we see the self-care memes, and it's always pedicure, manicure, but it's never anything to deal with taking care of their mind.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing. I think that's like even with how the women detox after relationships.
Right.
You see a lot of the monkey branching. They won't ever admit that. A lot of women won't ever admit that. Leaving one relationship and going to the next. And we have a lot of I guess you call it taboo. Leave one man and get up under another.
Okay. Do me a favor. You got 20 more seconds to wrap it up because I got more people going in. What was your ultimate point? Did you have a question or you just wanted to...
I agree with you on the...
Okay. You agree on the therapy thing?
I just wanted to point out the whole counseling issue. Like, I feel like that's a main ingredient in order for a lot of these women to get what they need.
All right. Appreciate it, fam. So, the whole monkey branching thing, yeah, that happens. Edward, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good. What do you got?
Just want to say I end up following you from Donovan Sharp over here. So shout out to the six that you do. So I wouldn't have found you otherwise. But I'm not a Henry. One thing I will respect with you is you point out a specific type of man.
Mm-hmm.
I got an MDiv. I'm a teacher. I'm a moderate, low income earner, and because of my background with a theology degree, I end up finding myself more of a pastor to half my girlfriends than boyfriend the moment they find that out.
Okay.
And you're right. A lot of times people don't know a lot of the hurts that they've been through. Like I live the statistic, like 1/3 of my girlfriends have had some sort of like sexual molestation and other stuff like that, or the mother situation is bad and no one talks about that. So the main thing I would say is if you're a guy, just vet the woman a bit better. See if she's hurt, and if she's trying to solve it all herself, just point her to the counseling or point her to
yeah. I mean, make no mistake. I'm not telling any man that you need to be a therapist. That's not it. That's not it at all. What I'm saying more to guys is that the black community is the American descendants of slaves are the most unique people on the planet, and we have traumatic experiences on both sides. The thing is, we don't understand each other. We have gotten so much distance between men and women to where we come together for sex and that's it. How many times do you know with 80% of the black children being born out of wedlock, oftentimes the mother and father were together shorter than the mother's pregnancy?
Oh, it's bad. Like I live in Oklahoma.
And, I'm from there.
I'm in the riot place, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And what ends up happening, I see on all the apps. I know I shouldn't be on there, but I look at them, and it's literally the woman just had a kid.
Yep.
And she's like on Tinder.
Yep.
And I'm like, yo, what's going on with that?
Had someone on the show the other night. Hey, Simone. Simone, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
You're up next. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I usually just point to most black people because they never read it. It's like "Let Us Make a Slave" by Willie Lynch, and you see this dynamic painted out in slavery, and you have the removal of the black male and his authority, and the woman raises the sexes in an inverse dynamic because the woman knows that she's going to have to treat her daughter like she's going to have to deal with her man being gone because her man's gone, and she's going to
All
baby
right,
her son to keep her
20
around as long as
seconds. Got to
possible.
wrap it up.
But no, yeah, I appreciate what you do, sir, and keep it up. I like how you moderate your show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, see, Simone, you're up. I'm not telling any guy to walk around and be a therapist to black women. Do not mistake my intention. The purpose of this show is I just want to give a little bit of light to a subject that I know most men don't. Most men, just like a lot of women are completely ignorant about how black men are and who we are, a lot of black men are completely ignorant to how black women are too. Now, it's for each individual. It's for black men to get his shit together, black woman to get her shit together. But it cannot hurt for you to know, at least that's what some folks are dealing with, so you can be better able to vet. Simone, what's going on?
Hey, well, you know what? I do not even know where to begin with this. For one thing, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about this whole issue just because there is so much dysfunction going on today. And I'm just going to be perfectly honest and say, I really didn't have a full understanding of this kind of issue until after I got married. That's kind of sad, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a 31-year-old black female. I was actually raised in a 2-parent home. I'm not going to get all into that unless it's necessary. But I understood that it's good to be married. I wanted to get married and have kids, but I really didn't truly break all this stuff down about how necessary it was to have masculinity in our lives until I was a couple of years into my marriage.
Huh.
So I think
Well, you were raised with mom and dad in the house though, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you're 31. Do you have any kids?
No kids yet.
Well, this is what your kids are gonna grow up into.
Exactly. I know that kind of scares me.
Yep, it is. Mm-hmm.
So I think this dynamic will kind of make a little bit of sense. So basically, my parents were married in 1970. Mm. So they're, I guess, boomer. Boomer age.
No, girl, please, baby boomers, that Generation X. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to. Do you have a question, or do you just want to make a statement? Because you just want to make a statement, you got another 20 seconds.
Well, just a statement of everybody has to kind of take personal responsibility and accountability for their situation. And for women to really understand what their life without having any kind of masculinity or
well, like I hope wherever you're at in the South, when you run into black women, you tell them that.
Oh, I do.
I hope you tell them that in the bar. I hope you tell them when they start all that cackling and hen talking the beauty salon. I hope you tell them, you need to get you some therapy. And stop being so cynical about men. Appreciate you calling in, sis.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. So, yeah, man. I will tell you, just like black men being in corporate America, you know how I stumbled across some of this stuff? I'm not going to lie. How I stumbled. David, I see you in the waiting room. I'm not going to lie. When I saw a woman who I thought was a straight up tough woman, I just thought she was a top level performer. I'm like, damn, you got your stuff together. One day, I was working late, really late. And I was coming out of my office. Nobody's typically in the office about this time. And I go back on the side where when the cleaning crew had come through, the lights are out, door was closed, and I hear this just sobbing. That ugly in the shower cry. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. coming from her office. And I kind of didn't know what was going on because I'm like, no, homeboy ain't that. I mean, because, she can take care of stuff. I went kind of like, and she just had completely lost it. And then from that moment on, she told me about something that just happened at work. She just broke, and it just all came out. She's like, I am not no damn superwoman. I'm like, whoa. See, I think a lot of times black men, especially depending upon your interaction with black women, see, I've always interacted with women a lot in my life. I grew up around a lot of women. You see, I mean, come on. But if you just don't know or understand women, you've never been able to kind of get down and communicate with them, it's easy to say a lot of brothers don't understand them to the point to where a lot of black men can start to think black women are stronger than they really are. I mean, this woman was Ivy educated. I mean, just killing the game. And she was just helpless. And I'm sitting there looking at her, I was like, everybody has a breaking point. I'm not going to get all into her story, but it all came crashing down. That woman felt like, I might have prevented a suicide. Don't want to use that word. I might have prevented an offing that night. We're talking about somebody who was a high earner, highly, highly, highly driven, very distinguished, very recognized, miserable. And I think a lot of times, I'll just leave it there. All right, what are you guys' names in the chat room? Some of these names, man, are kind of funny. Some of these women do not want to be this way, man. Let me go ahead and take David's call, and I'm gonna finish up. David, what's going on?
Hello, how you doing, Kevin?
What do you got for me?
So I guess a little bit of a disagreement, but at the same time,
Okay, how old
I
are
want to pay
you?
a compliment. I appreciate the format of your show. I also like your
David, how old are you?
26.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, earlier when you were having a conversation with the lady who was in Jamaica, I think that the conversation went in a way that was problematic in that I think of
David,
I saw a video yesterday from you
David,
about Christianity and feminism.
David,
Yeah.
are you talking about several shows? Are you mixing 3 or 4 shows together?
No. It's about today's shows, but I was hinting at one thing.
Okay, I didn't talk to any woman from Jamaica.
Oh. Okay, sorry, sir. Never mind. I didn't mean to call in.
Go ahead and make your ultimate point though. Because today's point is a lot of women don't want to be the way they are, and you were going to disagree, and because of what?
Well, it wasn't about that, but I can make it related maybe.
Go ahead.
I saw a show where there was a woman that was saying that women feel undervalued. She didn't want to feel undervalued in a relationship in a way that certain men treat women, and she was saying because they treat them like they're less than, and you slammed hard at the point of, but you're weaker. You can't survive without us. And I understand that. The problem with not highlighting something important in that scenario is that men in my generation and the previous generations, I don't think we know how to value women in a way that we treat them in a way as though that they can't see themselves as valuable in a certain sense. We only make it so that it's valuable. What we do as men is valuable. And I feel like that's something that's at the root of feminism. And if we don't ever say there's something, we don't stress that there's a value in a woman's role, then we can't be surprised that there's feminism.
Okay. So you're saying that men should extol women's values, or say what we feel is valuable about women?
Yeah, because there's no groundwork laid for it. This is what's valuable about women and what their future, what they're meant to do in life. But there's a lot of stuff defined about what is expected of a man to go out and produce and to make things like that. But there's no groundwork laid for women. So when I see certain women speaking in feminist rhetoric, it's sort of like, hey, I want to be valuable, and they're trying to go with the generic things that are laid in front of you
Well,
that is valuable.
I mean, what would be some of the things that you would say that men should speak on and say that they value in women?
So producing the next generation effectively is one thing. I feel
Effectively,
like some women have
effectively is subject. Hold on. Effectively is going to be a subjective term, but go ahead.
Okay. I feel like some women have the ability of, at least the previous generations, where at least with men and children, they had the ability to soothe and certain other things in a way that I feel like is not the same anymore.
You
And
mean
I feel
nurture?
like they potentially lost that
Okay.
nurturing, and they traded that for whatever feminism is, what they're chasing in feminism.
All right. So do you have a girlfriend?
I'm married.
All right. How long you guys been married?
We got married this year, so less than a year.
Oh, congratulations. How long you been watching my channel?
Actually, just started watching it yesterday.
Okay. Well, then you might be new to my channel when I talk about men should be CIA, confident, intelligent, and assertive. Women should be FBI, feminine, beautiful, and inspirational. And that inspirational part is the part that goes back to a lot of the feminine traits that women in past generations had, and that they were a benefit to their CIA men. I don't think it's as much as men, the values that women actually, especially in this feminist movement, women rejected traditional values before men did. Go back and do your homework on Phyllis Schlafly and the ERA movement of the 70s, Equal Rights Amendment. My mother's generation, the baby boomers, did not want to be like their mothers of the silent generation. They actually looked down upon their mothers because they were stay-at-home wives, did not work. They wanted to get out and work and get out there and compete with the men. So it's not as though the men are not extolling values that we found important. Those have always been there. It's up to women to decide to revalue those things. How often do you hear a woman today talk about she wants to be a stay-at-home mother and raise her own children, and talk about that with a sense of pride, like they talk about going to college or going to get a master's or something?
Not a lot.
Well, and therein lies the conversation. Men can't do that until women start doing that first. Because where we are right now, and I'll just say this, where we are right now, the average woman does not really put a lot of stock into what men say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I agree with that. It's just that I feel like something was left out of that, which is I feel like we do have some sort of we impact the women on how we move.
No, well, we do impact the women on how we move, but you can only impact your woman. Like
I don't know, because I feel like culturally, if women see all the men in the neighborhood treating women in a certain manner, they might try to adjust themselves as to align with that.
You can believe it, but I would just say that there are some things that's optimistic, but in particular with black women are so far removed from black male leadership that it's often easier for women to hear truths that they need for their own lives coming from other women than from men. Do you think that the average black woman has respect for the average rank and file black man?
So I guess what I'm trying to say is I agree with that. I feel like some women can be stubborn.
Well, and if there's no respect for the man, period, then why should they care about what he does or does not do? That's the whole thing where we're at.
I guess I was raised by a large amount of women.
So was I.
Even if they say that they're stubborn, behind the scenes they've always taken notes on that. So I don't think it necessarily correlates that if they don't want to.
Well, we got the community. We got the community we have for a very good reason. It's not and here's the thing: it's a chicken or egg argument. Either the men aren't doing what they're not supposed to be doing, or the women aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and the numbers are pretty clear. You're a young man. You're a young married man. Your views are going to be through those lenses. At 26 years old, and I don't mean any disrespect, there's you still got a lot of more to catch up in relationship.
I agree.
All right. Appreciate you calling in, though.
All right.
Thanks.
See you,
Bye-bye. No, he's the married guy. You know, what do you guys, Mago? Yeah. Who is this? West Side Philly. What is this? I don't like these names. All right, please take yourself off mute. West Side going once. West Side going twice. West Side, we are gone. All right. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this. Hello? Hello? All right. Too late. So, I don't know how many people have taken philosophy when they were in college. But predeterminism is a part of philosophy that basically says the world is set. And even though you may choose left or right, ultimately your life is already planned out the way it's going to be. And I don't believe in a predetermined path. That means you don't have any choice. Human beings have free will. Human beings have free will. And regardless as to where people are, how they got there, there is no roadmap for what is the ADOS Black American culture. You've never had a group of people who have been enslaved in chattel slavery, raised to be born to be slaves for multiple generations, freed and never allowed to depart from their captor. We have a pretty, fast forward 2,000 years from now, the ADOS Black community is going to be puzzled over. Because nothing like this ever existed in anthropological history of mankind. And right now we are where we are. The average, I've said this the other day, the average 4, 5, and 6 black man, and the average 4, 5, and 6 black woman in years ago would have been married off a long time ago and been Miss Jenkins somewhere. We have a record number of 30 plus year old, mid 30 to mid 50 single people. I mean, I would love to see the amount of just singles in Generation X and elder millennials when everybody else, when other races are all coupled up. You get a lot of busybody, a lot of conflicting things. And here's the thing. In these spaces, people are not likely to be honest. Because especially if you're a man and you say you want a relationship, it used to be you get your head cut off over here. Now it's to the point to where some things are even a little bit more tolerated. But I go back to what I go back to. Most people want relationship. They do. Most people want relationship. Even when you can talk about all the numbers, the facts, the data, statistics, and this sector of YouTube, any kind of sphere sectors of YouTube, the algorithm has led towards a collection of people who search for the same kind of terms and watch the same kind of content. But in the bright wide world, folks are still trying to move around and do what they want to. So for the women who don't want to be the way you are, you don't want to act this way, let me tell you, you don't have to be. The first thing I would suggest doing is just go get some actual clinical therapy. Talk to a therapist. That's why I'm going to ask for all the black therapists. For all the actual black psychiatrists, psychologists, where are y'all at? Hit me up in the comments section. If you held digital consults, I mean, you're actually licensed where somebody can actually go check your credentials. Where y'all at? Because I do believe that there's a difference between going to sit look, we already have enough trust issues. It's easier to sit across from somebody who you feel may understand where you're coming from. Get out of the church going to that. That's spiritual. You need clinical counseling. That don't mean you're crazy. We got to remove that stigma. We're gonna make mental health sexy. It's like bringing sexy back with the suits and stuff. Oh yeah, we're gonna make this like sexy, because there's nothing sexier than a person who's jacked up, who's made a right turn onto the right path. Ain't nobody perfect. No one's perfect. And when you can start walking around realizing that you ain't perfect, you can have some empathy, humility. It's a heck of a lot easier to deal with folks. And while you might not deal with certain things from people, you don't want to deal with a woman with kids, or you don't want to deal with a man who's under this height, whatever. There are people who ain't got no problem with that. When people are optimistic and abundance minded, things become a lot more possible. Happy Henry was the call for 2020. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of men want to have a woman. How many guys are sitting up in COVID by themselves and they're like, dang, I am tired of my right hand. Yeah, you know you talking to. All right, so you got to get your head straight, sis, because no one owes you understanding. 2, you got to start being nice. You have to practice it. You got to get back to your feminine. That's why I used the picture that I used. Let me go ahead and use the picture. I used a woman on the thumbnail who is an attractive woman. But I want you to look at her facial expression. You know, when I see so many sisters walking around just looking stone-faced, no, this has to go. You need to wake up with a light easiness about you, a smile. We watched Love Jones in my group the other night, and I was like, dang, I forgot how dope this movie was. The soundtrack and all that other kind of stuff. The cinematography, not the overall concept. But are you pleasant to be around? Agreeableness. There's going to be a broadcast we do later on this week, because I got something coming for men tomorrow. But the agreeableness, get your head together and becoming more agreeable, you'll just have a better quality of life, even if you never marry. But you're having people around you that care about you. It's a hell of a lot easier when you're an easy person to be around. Single mothers. What is this? See? Appreciate it, Antoine. Single mothers. Let me say something about that too. When you're online, take things with a grain of salt. That's what I'll say. Take things with a grain of salt. There are men out there with kids. There are women out there with children. Thinking just because you have a child, that automatically means you will never, ever have a man is foolish. How are you, more than anything else, because here's the thing. After a certain age, men start expecting certain things. No man wants a woman with children. Let's put that out there. All things being equal, he'd rather have no children. But if you're a single mother and you want to be married, you're going to really have to look at the caliber of man you're talking about. And I've said it before. Where are the kid's parents? Where's the kid's father? See, that's going to mean more than anything else. Where is the father? Is the father alive? If he's alive, is he active in the kid's life? All right, then. You're starting to hear more women actually ship kids off to the father, and they go get married and start their life with their husband. But here's what does not fly: you got children, a child, you have kids, and you expect to come in and have a man pay all the bills or the significant portion of the bills, and he can have no discipline over the children. For those women, for those women, to where only you can whoop your kids, you wait till they out of the house. Because that, I would never tell a man to go into that situation. You need to understand what you're asking a man to come into in this stepfather role. I've been there. It is not something I would wish upon anybody. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't recommend it either. So, there are men out there who will. But those men, see, we got to have this discussion about, after agreeableness, we got to also have this thing about that broadcast I did is do you look like what he makes? Why do average women want above average men? That's more the issue than anything else. Women really want this perfection standard. And that's what's holding, outside of mental trauma and everything else, that I believe that one issue is holding, in particular, black women back more than anything else. Even Rebecca, matchmakers even say that. You get rid of these unrealistic standards, you open yourself up. What do you mean, what am I missing? What am I missing? Yes. 23 years old is too young to be SYS, BM, MGTOW, or any other thing. You don't have enough experience. I've heard guys talking about their MGTOW and they're virgins. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm missing what's going on in the chat room. But all right, keep it cool. All right, I got to get up out of here. Monday we get back to it. We got to get back to it. No stepdaddy more. Hey, man. Science is subjective. Yeah, all right. Science is subjective. Oh, okay, well. See, I just timed you out. See, that's not subjective. That was science right there. I'm curious, what does dating look like when all the men have full custody of the children versus the women? I know what SYSBM, David. Who you think you're talking to, man? I mean, really? Really? What does the dating look like? It actually works. It works. Because right now there is no dating. Right now there's either hookup culture and then there's these relationships and marriage. And the point of, because dating doesn't exist right now because men aren't trying to date you. Men aren't trying to date the rank and file woman today because the rank and file woman has no idea. Well, that's a whole nother video. Dating doesn't exist. And it's like, talk about chivalry. Chivalry is dead because feminism and the modern movement of women killed it. You want to bring dating back? Dating is going to have to be beneficial to a man. Why in the hell would a man go out and become the best version of himself, have to go out and approach you, court you, date you, take you out to a nice dinner, take you out 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then you're over here hooking up with somebody? See, the social contract was broken, ladies. You broke the social contract. Years ago, you would date one man at a time. And you would go, and you wouldn't, and women would not accept a dinner date with a man that they didn't find interesting or attractive. You weren't using men. Men are not fools. So you want dating to come back? Bring back social contract. Bring back some damn fair play. Fair play. Dating doesn't exist anymore. I would tell you this. I date. Personally, I date. I mean, but that's me. The men I hang around, my friends, we like to date. But I like the presence of women. I like the presence of beautiful women. I like to share a meal with a beautiful woman. I like to share the company of a beautiful woman. I don't want to sit around a bunch of men all day long. If I'm going to a new restaurant, I want to go with a beautiful woman. I don't want to go with my homeboy. We do business. But for the rank and file guy, so here's the thing. So the women I choose to date realize that they're getting something that most women have never had. And then they appreciate it. Dating is done for the rank and file, yes. Movies, dinner, that kind of stuff. Because, Tinder and the hookup cultures kill dating. No man wants to sit back. You're asking because you have no children. Well, ultimately, her question is, what does it look like if men have the kids? Well, first off, the kids are doing better. The kids are doing better because fathers make better parenting decisions, especially after the kids are over 7 years old, than mothers, especially for boys. And for the women that have no children, then if you don't want to date a man with no kids, find him. But the men with no kids aren't dating. The men with kids are likely dating for a different reason. See, ladies, you want it all. You want a man with no kids, high earning, like Rebecca Lynn Pope said, all these things, and you're not going to get it. You want a perfect idyllic situation, a power couple. If you don't have any kids, great. Ms. Dixon, call in. Let me answer your question that better. What about body count? Here's the thing. Call in. What about body count? Are we thinking, Yazzie, what is your problem? That's such a low-class question. What's a low-class question, Yazzie? What's a low-class question? Let me see. What did she say? Yazzie B, what's a low-class question? I don't see her. There it is. The body count question. So, the woman that asked about the body count as a low-class question. Well, I want to hear from Miss Dixon. I'm not trying to hear from guys right now. What about body count? Are we thinking backwards? Why is it a low-class question? Now, we need to stop saying there's real men this, real men on that. Men actually don't, honestly, most guys don't care about body count. No, you guys may care, but the average guy does not care about body count. Well, let me ask you, to all you guys that say body count matters, to all you guys that say body count matters, tell me how the hell you know the truth. How do you know a woman's actual body count? Since it matters, tell me how you know. Tell me how you prove whether or not a woman's being honest with you, since it matters. The link is right here. How do you guys just say? Here's the. I'm going to be real. You know who body count matters for? Guys who are sexually insecure. I said it. Guys who are sexually insecure. You don't know how to make a. Oh shit. Guys who are sexually insecure worry about shit like that. Why do you worry about a body count? Think the lower the body count, the less you have to perform? You're less worried about the size, length, width, the experience. See, guys who are not sexually insecure don't care about that kind of stuff. And you guys who say it matters, you can't prove anything anyway. You can't prove anything anyway. Miss, is this Miss you?
Yes, this is me.
I didn't want to say your name.
Thank
So what's your question?
you.
So what was your ultimate question?
My question is my age range. I run into a lot of men that already have children, which I'm completely fine with. However, it's more so about learning how to date men with children. You push the topic of men having custody of their children, so I'm trying to figure out what that looks like and how I would be able to move in that
Well,
environment.
how old are you? You said, "No, I disagree." Well, prove how. All you guys who disagree, tell me how you prove it. How old are you? I didn't hear you.
I'm 32.
32?
32.
Can you hear me well? Am I on speakerphone or something?
No, you're not. You're on my headset.
Oh, there's a delay, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, there's a delay because when I ask you a question, it's about 5 seconds before you respond. I'm gonna handle you body count guys in a minute, but you're telling on yourselves, so you really should stop. Okay, you're 32, and that means if you're dating men who are older than you, let's say you're dating men 10 years older than you, 7 years older. A lot of guys have 50% of the guys are gonna have kids.
Right.
And you don't. And you're saying how to deal with that?
So basically, how to decide who's a good candidate to have children with if they already have children.
You want to know how to decide who's a good candidate to have children with if they already have children?
Right, because if they already have children, I'm kind of committed to.
Okay, listen. Look at their children.
Okay.
That's the surest indicator. If they already have children and you want to know whether or not they're a good candidate of which to have children by, right? Look at the work. Look at the kids. If he has quote unquote good kids, especially if he has custody of them, then that means he's doing a good job. Does that not make sense?
It does.
So the question is, I thought your question was more or less along the lines of you're not wanting to date guys with kids.
I don't mind. I would like to date someone who doesn't have children.
Well, unfortunately,
realistic.
Are you actively or seriously dating anyone right now?
No.
Do you want to get married?
Yes.
Do you want to have children?
Yes.
All right. Well, unfortunately, you waited so long.
What?
You should have been married 10 years ago. Have you ever been in a serious relationship or been proposed to? Uh-oh.
Serious relationship.
He said, you cleared your throat on that one. Well, what happened? How long? What happened?
I don't know.
Nobody can see you.
Wasn't ambitious enough for me.
Huh?
Wasn't ambitious enough for me.
He wasn't ambitious enough for you. Okay. And how long were you guys together?
About 8 years.
Did you say 8 years?
I was very young.
Girl, you 32. What was you, 5? Come on, sis. Come on, sis. You say you were with a dude for 8 years, and the reason you didn't marry him is because he wasn't ambitious enough. Then you're going to follow it up and say you was young. Boo, come on.
After that, I became ambitious, focused on my goals.
Okay.
And stopped dating.
Okay. All right. So,
that's how we led to here.
So, well, when you say ambitious, what does that mean?
Just wanting more out of life, focusing on a better lifestyle.
Does that mean more money?
Comfortability.
Comfortable. Does that mean more money?
Yes.
All right. Just say you just wanted more money. Stop prettying it up. So, did you go to college?
I didn't finish.
All right. So, so what do you do for a living? If he wasn't ambitious enough for you,
I prefer not to disclose that. I work.
Well, now you call and ask me the question. So here's the thing. Okay, I'll just go down that path. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's where I go down. See, I find it interesting that women like that. Unfortunately, there's so many sisters like you that are getting in this position. You're with somebody for 8 years, then all of a sudden he wasn't good enough because a light came, and it almost seems like the way you guys tell the story. All of a sudden, some light came on, and then he wasn't ambitious enough. All right. But see, what I need to hear after that is you're like the VP of marketing. That's what I need to hear. That I was with somebody for 8 years and we were both just middle income people, both high school graduates. No one went to college. We put both right there in the middle. Then all of a sudden, I graduated or something. Then I just went from here to there and he wasn't ambitious enough. But what I tend to find is most women are still kind of right where they were. They're just looking for a man with more money later in life.
I can say that
you start breaking.
That's not my situation. I actually am further than I was.
Well, here's the thing.
I can say that is not my situation. I'm actually further than I was. All
right. Well, here's the thing. Whatever your situation is, I don't know what the big deal is, but here's the net of it. 32 years old. There's a looks component. There's, especially if you want to be do you want to work after you have children?
I don't mind working part-time. I would like to work for my husband's company.
Do you want to have to work to pay significant bills?
No.
Right. So you don't want to have to work. How many children do you want? Would you like to have? Right. Huh? How many children?
2 to 3.
2 to 3. 2 to 3 children. So again, we're talking about these men in the $300,000 plus range. That's those men, $300,000 plus range. to have a wife that doesn't work and have 3 children. That's a what percentage of men do you think make $300,000, well, $325,000 or more? Out of 100% of men, what percentage of men do you think fits that?
10%.
Say again? I couldn't hear you.
10%, 20%.
10% or 20%? 10 to 20% of men make $300,000 or more. Oh, damn wrong. No, ma'am. Those men are in the top 1% of men. 99 out of 100 men don't make that amount of money.
Okay.
This is kind of part of the issue, that a lot of women want something that's unrealistic for them. Most men don't make that. So if there were 100 black men, one would make that amount of money. And why would that one pick a woman who's, and the guys who make that amount of money, if they're already making it, they're going to pick the youngest, hottest woman they can get. They don't pick women in their 30s. And if they did pick a woman in her 30s, he's going to be in his late 40s or 50s. And she's still got to be smoking hot. The man who makes that kind of money is likely not.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm not a mud duck, and I'm not looking for an extreme amount of income. I'm just
Whoa.
to have a.
What do you mean when you say you're not looking for an extreme?
relationship
You say you're not
with
looking for an extreme
a
amount of
white
income.
man.
You said you're not looking for an extreme amount of income. You said you want to get married and you
I
love.
said I was looking for a comfortable relationship.
Okay.
You put the number of 300,000. I didn't. I
Well,
just said comfortable.
okay. I put the number there because that's how much it cost. I didn't just pull it out of my butt. I run the numbers. I pulled the numbers.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and what I'm trying to tell you, ma'am, is if you think 10 to 20% of men earn $300,000, no offense, but my grasp of the number is probably more in tune with the reality. And if you say you want a comfortable life, cool. How much money to not be able to work and have 3 kids? When it takes about $200,000 per child from 0 to 18. You can't do it on $80,000 a year and not have a wife that's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did, you'd be living in a rental home. So when you say you're not looking for an extreme, no, you didn't put you haven't put pen to paper and know what it is you're really saying. That's cool, but you are asking for an extreme amount of money. I just filled in the other parts. You're 32. I made that video and got a bunch of pushback. When women who are 4s, 5s, and 6s find high earning men, they find them when they're in their college years or at the beginning. So when a guy's already up there, he's looking at 8s, 9s, and 10s. What would you actually, if you had to rank yourself, since you said you're not a mud duck, okay, and you're not, where would you rank yourself?
I'm not really sure. I haven't really done that assessment yet. If I had to rank myself, I would say overall.
You can't use 7.
Because you don't like 7.
Yeah.
Right.
What would you give it?
Oh, did you hear me? I said I would give myself an 8 because you don't like 7.
You give yourself an 8. Okay. So that means as an 8.
I'd rather go higher than lower.
Okay. So that means you're 5'4", dress size 4, 120 pounds, tight fit. First off, just understand, over 30, even if you were a 10, when you cross 30, you automatically drop 1 point. That means you're a 9.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and are you a tall woman or are you a shorter woman?
5'5".
5'5". And dress size?
A 6.
Dress size 6. And are you in the gym like 5 days a week?
Yes, 6.
Okay, cool. Um, then that would mean likely your body is around an 8. I can't see. Um, but I used the show Good Times. Thelma Hopkins uh,
Mm-hmm.
as a 7. And I don't use 7s. Pam Grier, that's an 8. So to be an 8, you got to be like in Pam Grier's area.
That's extreme. I don't have the boots.
Huh? Huh? So you give.
I said that's extreme. I don't have the boots.
Well, are you watching me or you watching YouTube? Are you watching me or you watching
I'm
YouTube?
looking on Zoom.
Uh, well, I mean, you don't have the boot. Well, you don't have to have the boobs. I mean,
She
see,
has very big boobs.
but she was also classically beautiful. I mean, um, and it's not uncommon for men to. Here's what it gets right down to. At 32, if you think most guys make that amount of money, you're off base. And it requires a lot of money to have a stay-at-home wife because a man has to. The average middle class American makes $50,000 a year. Okay, so let's just say you and your husband were average. You're making 50, he's making 50, right? In order for you to stay at home, you'd either have to live below your means by half, or your husband would have to increase to $100,000, right? That's just the math for 2 people. Daycare for an infant, $200 a week. I mean, kids are expensive, and to have 1, 2, 3, and not have to work, that man is going to have to make high, mid 6 figures or more. And that's in Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Atlanta. Those kind of guys exist, but they are 1 out of 100. And that's not adjusting for looks, um, height, anything, even marital status. They're exceedingly rare. So if you want to have a comfortable life, you're going to either have to work, have fewer kids, or really, really lower your standard of living. If that's what it is. And that's what I don't think a lot of women kind of take into consideration. And why are we here? Because you said you had an 8-year relationship and it's over because the guy wasn't ambitious enough. So that means he wasn't making enough money. All right. That means.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So what if I'm willing to work with an individual and actually I like to play the long-term game.
Uh-huh.
So it's more so about putting work to lead to that lifestyle. It doesn't have to be today.
You're kind of breaking up. So slow. What I need you. Hold on. I need you to repeat that. You were breaking up, and because on your headphones. Say it again. You're willing to work with somebody. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I said I was willing to work with someone. I'm not looking to go into a $300,000 a year. I would like to, but I'm not. I'm being realistic and not looking to walk into a $300,000 a year relationship with a man, given my age and other things. mostly my age. But if I'm more interested in the long term game, if we lead to that or we get to that, we live a comfortable life, we actually grow and build, we can get to that lifestyle.
Well, that means you're gonna have to work. 32 years old. First off, 30. Let me
To
just
be
say,
honest with you, I guess because of the
I'm just being honest with you, man. Most 32-year-old women aren't gonna not work. You're gonna work.
mm-hmm.
You can say whatever you want. Most 32-year-old women are going to have to work. You did not get married early when you were young, fertile, and at your highest. You're past the wall. That's just the reality. You can say whatever you want. You can have your standards. You can think what you want to about you, but you're average. You're average looking, and that's not an insult. You're average looking. You're not bad, but you're not uh, Pam Grier, and you're over 30.
First one.
Huh?
Right.
The more likely reality is you. I don't know how much money you make, but you didn't go to college. I don't know how much money you make, but the more likely reality is, I said a woman can pretty much expect to get a man $10,000 times her for every point on the look scale. If you're a 6, you can expect a man making about $60,000 a year in Dallas, Houston, Austin. That means you'll be working. Most women have to work.
The thing is, I don't mind working as long as it's not physical work.
But it's still, okay. I asked, okay, that's cool. But it's still going to be 40 hours a week. Ain't going to be no part-time nothing.
It has to be 40.
Because you're going to need 2 incomes. You're going to have, okay, ma'am, you're going to have to, at your age, why would a man who is making that much money marry a 32-year-old woman who's got 3 years before you start having high-risk pregnancy? You still got to meet him, go down the aisle. If you met him today, as soon as you be married is 6 months from now. And unless you got pregnant on the wedding night, you want at least a little time, 3 to 6 months before a baby came out. You'd be 33 and a half. And if you had a child every year, the first one, the second one, the third one will be high risk. See, what you're showing, ma'am, is a lot of women like you have this idealistic attitude, but you don't put hardcore numbers or reality to it. One, your age is a hindrance for that too. And let guys who make that kind of money, let's just say 6 figures. Realistically, do you want your husband to be making $100,000 or more? From day one.
More.
Right.
Realistically.
All right, ma'am. And that's 10% of the men.
Right.
Have you ever dated a man making that kind of money?
However.
Have you ever dated a man making that kind of money?
Yes.
Okay. Let me back it up. Have you ever seriously had a serious relationship with a man making that kind of money?
No.
Huh?
No.
Okay. So date, that just mean y'all went out?
Dated for several months.
Okay. And why did it end?
To be honest with you, I think I'm too picky. I used to have the perfect dynamic idea.
Why are you so picky?
Oh.
What seriously, what's so special about you to be
lazy.
What's so special about you to make you so picky? Are you that fine? Are you that to be that picky?
I'm not lazy.
So what? Neither is a mule. So what, ma'am? You work. Do you have an advanced degree? I mean, you didn't go to college. You go to the gym.
Is that all that matters? Is the degree?
What matters, ma'am, if you're average. You're average, ma'am. You're average.
Which is fine.
And that means average people get average people. And just like Rebecca Lynn Pope, the black woman who's married to a pastor who was a matchmaker for black women, said she stopped working with women like you because you were so unrealistic. You can be picky, ma'am. See, that's the thing. I can't tell you not to be picky. I can just tell you.
I said I used to be picky. I am
Oh,
not
well, you're
currently
still,
picky.
but you're
I
still,
used to
okay,
be.
you're still picky. Wanting a man making $100,000 a year at 32 years old, that's still picky. You didn't even know that $300,000 a year was a 1% man. You thought that's 10 or 20%. That shows that you have no
So
idea.
what price range should I be focusing on?
Ma'am, what I'm trying to say to you in the nicest way possible is you didn't want to tell me how much you make or what you do. All I know is you're 32 and you graduated from high school. All I know is you said you were with a guy for 8 years and you're not together because he wasn't ambitious enough. But you did not tell me that you are some high-end corporate exec somewhere at 32. So I don't know what ambitious means.
Corporate exec? No.
Okay. Do successful if successful men, high earning men don't approach you for serious relationship, that should tell you something.
Okay.
That should tell you something. If the men that have the means you would like do not approach you for serious relationship, what does that tell you?
I'm gonna say I'm trying not to get roasted on here.
I know
So
I'm not
saying
not
that
going
they
to
don't
roast you.
approach
I'm
you.
actually trying to help
I'm
you.
saying that I was the problem.
No,
No,
oh,
I
what
appreciate your
what
help. I really do. I'm just saying that I was the problem.
what I think the problem is with so many black women like yourself is you're too picky for what you are. That is as simple as I can put it.
Correct.
You can't be that picky when you're like a 5. You have to be an 8, 9 to be picky. Yes, ma'am, you are. You're not a classic beauty. You're not an unattractive woman. But I don't think you could tell me that you have. Okay. Have men told you, have the high value men in your life, high school or whatever, did they tell you that you were like the pretty girl in school?
I was the shy, quiet girl.
That's not what I asked you, ma'am.
So I wasn't.
The shy, quiet girl, if she was fine, the shy, quiet girl, if she was fine, she still got attention.
In high school? No.
Well, and because you did not go to college. What region of the country do you live in? North, east, south, west?
East.
East? Okay. In the east, do you get approached by high value white men?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You do. Do you get approached by no, for serious relationship?
I don't want it, but yes.
Meaning marriage, those kind of things.
When you have to date to lead to marriage, I kind of, sabotage it before.
Okay, well, and therein lies a lot of the distortion in women. See, men who want to marry quickly. High value men will kick it with a woman who is a average looking woman, but they won't wife them. They know this. And this is what I'm trying to understand, ma'am, is you can have whatever standard you want, but if your life is not showing you that you're getting that. Okay, imagine, do you own a car?
Yes,
You do?
I do.
Okay. All right. Imagine there's a car on the lot. And the dealer said it's the best car, whatever. And they want $100,000 for it. But cars like that car, that same model, that same make, everywhere else around the nation and in that neighborhood are selling for $50,000. Does it matter how much the dealer says how incredible this car is? Is the average person that has the money to buy that and in the market for that vehicle going to go buy the $100,000, or is he going to go buy the car that's priced like everything else is in the market?
Everything else?
Right. If you were a car, you are asking too much for the market. No one can tell you to lower your price, but no one's coming to buy you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just to clarify, this is just based on my age, correct?
No, it's not just based on your age. It's also based on
age and my look that you gave.
What I can kind of gather from your SMV, and then your age, and then and then I just say what you're wanting. See, I think a lot of women need to understand, to want to be a stay-at-home wife, you need to have got that early. I'm going to be honest. Most of the guys who are my clients who make that kind of money, here's what they say. I'm just going to be brutally frank. Why in the hell would I pick some woman over 30 who's been out here working and proving that she's has already got work on her, and then I'm going to set her down somewhere? No. I'm going to go get me one fresh off the tree who I can train up. I'm not going to go back and forth to do all this stuff. You've already been out here, ma'am.
Okay.
And most guys who have those kind of means, they'll date you, they'll say nice things to you, they'll have relations with you, but as far as getting serious with you, like wifing you, and directly approaching you, if a man is in the market for a wife, that means you're in the market, and so are all the other women. So the net of it is, if I were giving you advice off the rip, I would tell you, I'm going to say it, you need to lower your standard. Not just standard, you need to lower your list.
I've heard that before.
Well, but from who?
I've heard that before.
From who?
But my original question was about men with children.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's how we got here. But who'd you hear that from?
What do you mean?
Who'd you hear that you need to lower your list?
What?
You said you've heard you need to lower your standard. Who'd you hear it from?
Some men.
Friends? There's a delay, ma'am. That's
men.
From men. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a delay. I've been telling you since minute one. Okay, the men are telling you. Huh?
I'm trying to keep up.
Well, here's the thing. I've tried to say it in the nicest ways possible. But if men have told you need to lower your standards, I guess, I don't know if you think they're just trying to get you to do that to their benefit. I'm telling you, I don't know you. But I would say what I've heard and what I've seen, you're very much outside of what you're going to get on the open market. Now, you could win the lottery, but it's not very likely. What's likely is you're a high school grad who has some sort of job that you didn't want to disclose. You're 32. If you find someone, you're going to end up having to work a full-time job just like he's working. If you have children, it'll be 1, 2, whatever y'all work out. You're going to have that 12 weeks off, that FMLA leave, and you're going to be right back out there with them. Just like everybody else in the world. And it's good enough for everybody else. And if that's not what you want, I hear you, but that's what's far more likely than running up on a guy who's making, especially on the East Coast. You gotta take that number. Like if you're in Philadelphia, New York City area, you gotta take that $300,000 number up and jump it up to around $700,000. Those men are in one half of the 1%. And see here, and I would say this, I gotta run. This is where so many black women end up dying alone. Overvaluing.
Oh my.
Yes, dying alone. You're 32. You got 3 more years before you become high risk pregnancy. Did you watch Rebecca Lynn Pope's video, the one she talked about why she's no longer a matchmaker?
I did watch her video, yes.
Okay, you're one of the women she talked about. And this is why so many black women like yourself end up dying alone, because you have this impossible
I used to be. I'm not currently.
Ma'am, even what you're saying right now is ridiculous. Even what you're saying right now is unrealistic. If it was higher, then that just means you were in the stratosphere crazy. What you're saying right now is still unrealistic. So that tells me something. You've come down. You still need to keep on coming down to being average. The way you look, the way you earn, everything else. Just keep on coming down there. Because see, white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, Middle Eastern women, they don't walk around overvaluing themselves to the rate black women do. But then they don't also run around talking about all the single ladies, I'm INDP, whatever, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man. See, they don't feed that into their culture. Their women are taught that you need a man. A man, marrying will help you. 2 incomes is better than 1. And yes, it's better to have a blue collar man who's making good living to go along with your white collar lifestyle versus you being by yourself with this impossible list. Because, ma'am, you've got 3 more years before you become 35. From 35 on, it falls off the cliff. If you make it to 40, it's pretty much a wrap, especially on the East Coast. So I hope this was beneficial. But as far as a man with kids, for the things you're talking about you want, you'd be lucky to find a man with kids who would, higher earning man with kids who would deal with you. That's just straight up.
Okay, that's nice. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
All right. But yeah, keep us in the loop.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
No problem. Thank you, Kevin.
Bye-bye. Adios, mijo, papi. See? I cannot make these up. I cannot make these up. I cannot make these up. I cannot make these up, man. I cannot make this up. We've gotten into dangerous territory when women think everybody else is crazy or foolish or just don't understand. That woman ain't gonna do. She didn't care about what I was saying. It was like, whatever, it can happen. Yeah, I tried to handle this as well as possible, but And this is what I meant by the eternal sevens. That's why I don't allow seven. You guys saw what I meant. I don't allow women to use sevens. And then what happened? She jumped up to 8 instead of just being realistic. Whatever it is you do, ma'am, that makes you think it increases your value, because it has to be that he wasn't ambitious enough. Men don't count that. Men don't count your career, your money, until you're hot enough. Yeah, I'm done. I can't do no more. Rolled her eyes so hard. Yeah, she thought I was crazy. She thought I was crazy. It's just like, I've lowered my standards. Damn. I could have talked for another 4 hours and it would have made a bit of difference. I am what I am. And how do I want to say this? This is why I push for mental health counseling so much, because I think there's a lot of, there's something going on with some of us. To overvalue yourself. To think, I mean, it's see, even saying that sounds harsh, but an 8? Really? This dude said, let's see the chicks you get. First of all, I don't get chicks, I get women. And who are you, and why would I ever expose my personal life to somebody I don't know? Good luck with that. You know, a lot of women like her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everyone overvalue themselves. Not really. But here's the thing: women pay a higher price for overvaluing themselves. Men can overvalue themselves, but the world continually checks men and lets us know. Men get told all the time. Men have to deal with rejection. Women don't. So unfortunately, between the ages of 18 to 30, 18 to 28, when a woman's at the peak of her prime, she should have already consolidated on the highest value man and went on with it. What is it? Again, women over 30, long-term relationship, wasn't good enough. It's like rinse, wash, repeat. Younger ladies, pay attention. Don't repeat these cycles. Like that young lady I asked, would you marry a plumber or would you marry an accountant? So many women feel like they could do better. I mean, how many more times do we have to? This is like, I mean, somebody asked me, am I paying women to do this? I've actually had people ask me or suggest that I was paying people or it was a setup. So, all right, guys. I got to get up out of here. It was a good show. I'm off. I can't. Wow. Wow. What racial matter? What is Yazzie? What is she talking about again? What is she talking about? But it ends up. But if she ends up with a white man, she's a bedwench. First off, sis, she's not gonna end up with a white man of means. Let's knock that off. Yazzie, you're on the borderline of getting tapped out of here. You're on the borderline of tapping out. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because you're on that bullshit. High value white men only deal with beautiful white. High value white men only marry beautiful black women. high value white men don't get average black women. Marry them. That's why I kept, you notice how that keep qualifying? Dating, see, black women for whom it applies have come out with this whole way of speaking to where they can lie by omission. A high value man will deal with you? Yeah, meaning he'll date me or have sex with. But I said, what do you mean? Seriously? Date you seriously? Like towards marriage? Then it's like, well, no. Well, then it don't matter. You're a booty call. You're a hookup. So, at the end of the day, man, I find it sad that many of these sisters, you're 17. I mean, 17. Let me let you know, the Eddie, you shouldn't just you kind of really shouldn't be asking questions kind of right out. Here's the thing. You know what I find sad, more sad than anything else? And I'm going to just be completely honest. I find it sad that many of these black women could and should have been successfully, suitably married. I said it 2 or 3 videos ago. In days gone by, women like her would have long been married with children and off the market. But now the sexual marketplace is deregulated. Everyone can pick everyone. So the 80-20 rule is in effect. But did you hear when she said she thought 10 to 20%, was it 10 to 20%? 10 to 20% of men were earning $325,000 or more. The men can't think that way. And that's not adjusting for if she's in New York City or something. But women are allowed to go through the world just oblivious. Here's the thing. Cui bono. Cui bono. Yazzie. Here's something for you. Cui bono. Yazzie. Who benefits? Who benefits from black women like her and so many other black women not being with a black husband? Who benefits? She doesn't benefit. The black community is down one family, down multiple children, down combined income, down possible businesses and resources. Cui bono, who benefits? The same reason that the dollar circulates in every community anywhere from 33 to 7 times before it leaves. In the black community, a dollar doesn't even circulate 6 hours. You're paid at 5 o'clock on Friday, you're broke by midnight. Cui bono, who benefits? The people who sell to single, unattached black women. There's a financial incentive to keep black women and black men apart. And until black women in the middle wake up and realize you need to knock all this bullshit off and go back to your men, like every other group of women on the planet, with a thankful attitude, you're not settling for him. Harry saves Kim. All right. Till the next time. Peace. We are gone. I did it again. You guys be nice in the chat room. Don't insult that woman. In this moment.
It's from a ride. It's not hard to fool me. 'Cause I'm addicted to a good life.
Follow me on Patreon for videos you will only see there. Monday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time for Patreon only live streams.
Where we are heading now.
Join me on IG for videos that are in the frat room. They're up when they're up, they're down when they're down. Every day I go live from life in the field. If you want to see the kind of women I deal with, you might find them over there.
So tell your good night.
Email show ideas, things like that. info@bykevinsamuels, or go there and book your one-on-one session. Let me go ahead and say this too. Business only. Please don't send me page walls asking me our opinion for advice. Go to my website, pick your advice line, your corporate conversation or whatever. That's the way you get your time with me, not just by emailing me. Y'all know better than that. We out of here.
'Cause I know what I'm getting into. Yeah. Nothing can stop me. 'Cause I'm
Peace.